Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Bo Bichette wants to be a Toronto Blue Jay for life.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We have the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As always, I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter at Braden5 Iwasko, at Carter First too, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays as well. If you're new here on YouTube, we really appreciate it if you guys drop a subscription. Helps us out a ton. Keeps us at the top of your guys' page. You always know what's going on in Blue Jays land. There's also a little bell icon that you guys can hit to stay updated whenever we go live or post a short or any type of video. It'll be up there. A lot to get into today. Bo Bichette has come out and said that he wants to stay a Toronto Blue Jay. So we'll dive deep into that as well. Vlad went down with injury, and me and Carter immediately started to sit here and panic a little bit of like, oh my goodness, what would this team look like without Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Also, new sort of setup here, background. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, see what looks good. It's a work in progress, but we're getting there. I think the blue tinge, whatever you want to. I don't know. It might be cool. Let me know what you guys think. We got the sort of stuff in the background there. We got the Chris Bassitt bobblehead, the game ball from the game when we went to Toronto. A couple hats, and the courtesy of Randy helmet, Blue Jays helmet that I will have to get back to him, but I was into a couple beers over the weekend and threw the helmet on, and we had a good time, Carter.
Yeah, it was definitely a great time over the weekend. My voice is back, so that's a W for me on this Tuesday as this episode's coming out. But the helmet is making its first appearance in the Locked On Blue Jays podcast. Ended up making its rookie debut in the first year, so congrats. Made its way through the minor leagues. Had a couple ups and downs, but here we are. An upgraded setup with 19 games left in the season. It took a little bit, but we got there. Still haven't ironed my flag as we've seen, so I haven't quite gotten there. But you are taking the steps that I haven't been able to. But with all these upgrades, with a lot of Toronto Blue Jays news, as we get to the end of the season, you think it might slow down a little bit, but with especially with the Toronto Blue Jays direction. But we get a huge article, my Twitter, stuff like that, blowing up. Blue Jays media blowing up everywhere, and it's from Shi Davadi, a very good article, and it's updating us about Bo Bichette. So there's multiple things that we have to talk about Bo Bichette, but we're going to start with the main one, and that is Bo Bichette talking about his future at the Toronto Blue Jays, talking about what he wants to do throughout this offseason and what he wants for his future endeavors, not even just with his baseball career, but with his career in Toronto, with his career with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and others. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to read a quote straight from Bo Bichette here. So they go into just obviously with Bo Bichette being away from the team, what he was thinking about, what he's looking for, hopefully to come back for the end of the season, and just looking into his future. So he starts and he goes into it saying, time to think about what I want. Basically, my ultimate goal really is to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. forever, to win a championship with him, and to do that with this organization. I'm 100% committed to doing whatever it takes to accomplish those things. That's where I'm at. I'm just going to let you dive right into that.
It's sort of a little bit out of left field here, Carter. I was a little bit shocked with this news, with, the up and downness of Bo Bichette over this year. I mean, we got the news that came out from Ben Nicholson-Smith a while back of him saying that Bo Bichette's nowhere close to signing an extension. He's up in the air. He might be traded in the offseason. And Blue Jays, everybody in Blue Jays land started to panic. And that's sort of where I was. I was sort of just, I was at the point where we'll see what happens in the offseason. But now with this news coming out from Bo Bichette, I think it's gotten me pretty excited for 2025. I think that him and Vlad both know that there has to be upgrades and a plan. And if they want to go for it, hey, let's push all the chips in here. It's the time to push all these chips in. I just have another quote here sort of from Bo, and I think it sort of encapsulates everything. I know that there's another quote that you'll probably get into, but I want this sort of sums up my point. And I think what really pushes forward into 2025, the knowing that they have to push all the chips in. From my point of view, what I'm focused on now is how do we get back to where we are here? And I think that's knowing that you need all-stars, you need skill, and you need to put it all together. It all has to come together. And I think after this sort of down year, Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero, I mean, we've seen it from Vlad. We've seen his resurgence and his comeback. And if Vlad can take that into 2025, and Bo Bichette knows that he wants to compete, and if he gets that contract signed, I think that'll take a lot of weight off of his shoulders going from the offseason into next year. I think this could be huge for the Toronto Blue Jays, and I think this is a great sort of point made by Bo Bichette in the knowing of things have to get better. We can't stand pat, and I think that was a sort of what he meant in that sort of quote there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this article that we could talk about and take different directions on. There's obviously what you brought up. There's the wanting to be with the Toronto Blue Jays, but there's also a lot of specifics on wanting to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. As he said in the quote I just said, that his ultimate goal is to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. forever. Another one that I want to continue to go into is Bo Bichette goes on to say that him and Vladdy have talked about this since they've been 18 years old in low A. We've looked at each other every single year and told each other that we want to be together forever and win as many championships as we can. So if you're looking at this from right now, you're looking at this from 5 years ago, pretty much any single time for the Toronto Blue Jays should be something you're pretty excited about. So in retrospect here, obviously in the grand scheme of things, you probably would want to sign both of these guys, but isn't this just more incentive now to sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and make this guy a Toronto Blue Jay for life? Now you're getting Bo Bichette on board saying pretty much, hey, if Vladdy signs, this is what I'm getting from it. If Vladdy signs, I am way more likely to sign back with this organization. So Ross Atkins, if you want to do anything with your Blue Jays career, get on the phone with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Again, you can wait till the offseason, but get in this guy's ear and make this a done deal. One thing with Bo Bichette, as I'll get your opinions on this as well, is he is going to come back. So on Tuesday, as this episode comes out, he is supposed to be making his rehab assignment in Buffalo. Should play 4 to 5 days there and then come back to the Major League team. Has 15 games left with them. But with Bo Bichette, obviously coming off a down year, we've talked about the consistency. We've talked about what Bo Bichette has done throughout his career. But numbers-wise, I haven't really gotten into numbers-wise. I know you probably haven't either. But for numbers and what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is asking, we've heard about 30, 35 million. With Bo Bichette's a little bit of injury-riddled history and just his lack of production this season, does a long-term contract scare you a little bit with Bo Bichette and what he's done in this last season?
No, dude. I don't know. I think that's a crazy comment. I've seen on Twitter, right? There's people saying that you can't sign Bo long-term. They're unsure of his future. Where is he going to do? In my opinion, if you can lock down Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you do so immediately. There should be no conversation. Vlad should be easily making $35 million a year. Bo, I think that the price is probably that 27, 28 million. And he's playing a prime position. So it honest to God could be more for Bo Bichette. Yes, the injuries are a problem, but you're not going to get two better players than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette to come here to this team in the next few years. Yes, maybe if you develop a prospect and somebody comes out of the woodwork, maybe. But you're not going to trade for a guy. You're not going to sign a guy like those two. So if you can lock them down, you have to do so. They are two core important pieces to this lineup. And they're two guys that could help any team win a World Series. So they're two guys we need on this team. And at the end of the day, I can't stress that enough. And there's going to be people in our comments that are saying, we don't need Bo Bichette. We can let him go. He doesn't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. If Bo Bichette has now come out and said he wants to be here and he wants to win championships, that is the attitude I need from Bo Bichette to really get me pumped and excited for 2025. Now all I have to see is those offseason moves be made for the supporting cast around these two guys.
That's the thing with Bo Bichette is he's never gone out and made it clear that, yes, he wants to be with the Toronto Blue Jays long-term. Again, it's sort of been implied in some interviews, in some instances with stuff he's said, but he's never flat out said, I want to be a Toronto Blue Jay for an extended period of time. And it's the first time you do get that from Bo Bichette. And the reason I bring up this contract stuff and this past season is that I know a lot of people on the other side of this are going to be like, oh, Bo Bichette, they're very recency biased people, right? With the Toronto Blue Jays fan base. Is that they're going to see what Bo Bichette did this year. They're going to see the 220 that he hit, the 550 OPS, whatever it was. They're going to see that he didn't play a lot of games, and they're going to be a little bit less excited than we are to throw the bag at Bo Bichette. Again, does that necessarily mean they don't want to sign Bo Bichette for the Toronto Blue Jays? Maybe not then, but do you want to throw $25-30 million at this guy after this season? I think that's where this debate is going to sort of stem from. For me and you, I think we've talked about this a lot of times, that we're pretty on the same fence here that Bo Bichette's going to bounce back. He's going to have a very productive year with the Toronto Blue Jays again next season. So the way I look at this is that you were in on Shohei Ohtani. You were going to throw $700 million at Shohei Ohtani. To get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette for a long period of time, you're probably going to have to throw combined about $700 million at these two players. So, again, you get Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher, and obviously he's hitting one of the best hitters in all baseball as well. He's taking up less positions, so $700 million to one player does make a lot of sense. But if you're looking at two sides of the spectrum here, you go pros and cons. You got Shohei Ohtani on one side, Vladdy and Bo Bichette on the other side of the spectrum here. I think there could be a pretty in-depth argument about which side some people may rather have, whether it's Shohei Ohtani and then the Vladdy and Bo Bichette side. So you have the ability to pay out this money. This is the final point I'm going to get it here. You have the ability to do it. You know Rogers has the money to do it. Why not do it? You have superstars that have expressed that they want to stay with your organization long term, and you want to do this retooling, and you have these prospects now that you got at this trade deadline. Again, they aren't the highest touted prospects of all time, but they've shown some upside. They've shown some progress already in the limited games they played. Lock up your centerpieces of your franchise in Bo Bichette, in Vladdy. You still have some other guys to shape around. You got free agency. You got, obviously, the drafts, things like that. These two guys are still very young, 26 and 25. Lock these dudes up. They haven't even entered their primes yet. Me and you are very similar on this fence, but let us know in the comment section. Are you as excited about us? Are you as all in on with us with signing Bo Bichette to a long-term deal? You want to try to ink him like a 3-year bridge deal? I'm not sure how interested he'd be on that. Do you want like a 1-year deal? Sort of what Cody Bellinger had to do. Leave us in the comment section what you guys think the Toronto Blue Jays should do with Bo Bichette, and honestly Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as well. But Braden, I do have a couple more quotes I want to get into. You got anything that you're really into to get out here?
No, I think I've covered my points, right? I think at the end of the day, this is just great news for Blue Jays fans. And I think we all take a step back and realize the position that this Toronto Blue Jays team is in. If you can have two superstars, that's less adding you have to do than going out and finding 3 or 4 superstars to join this team. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with this news. Great for Bo Bichette. I think him is staying with Vladdy, and what a story it would be for those two to win a championship together. I mean, that's the stuff that those Netflix documentaries are made on eventually. So maybe we'll be seeing one of those at some point.
I would love to see the year 2024 where Bo Bichette finally welcomed the Blue Jays into his heart. Maybe a turning point in history for this podcast and the Toronto Blue Jays organization. But like I said, I got one more thing I want to go into. And again, it's just about Bo Bichette's mentality throughout this season. So you look at 2022, 2023, especially where Vladdy kind of didn't fall off, but didn't have as good of a season as he once did. And fans were very quick to harp on this guy as well. This was 2 years ago. It was Bo Bichette is the cornerstone of this franchise. We don't want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on a long-term deal. You look at the present right now, and you have the complete opposite. So obviously, this is going to impact you mentally very greatly, especially with a guy like Bo Bichette who hasn't struggled at all throughout his career, hasn't really had to go through hardship whatsoever. So he kind of goes into just how this affected him and how he got injured, and he got to take that step back. Obviously, when you're in a dugout, when you're in the same facilities as all of your teammates all the time, you kind of get immersed in your routines. It's tough to take that step back, take yourself away from baseball because you're immersed in the sport at all times. But going into Bo Bichette and what he said about his mentality is he went on and said, I feel like I've learned a lot about myself through failure, whether that would be on the field or maybe not feeling like I let as good as I should have. Just a lot of reflection, seeing what I can do better. He also said, I can do better on the field, but I also can do better off the field, in the clubhouse, everything. I'm just looking forward to having an opportunity to do better. So you see a little bit of the growth there as well. Obviously, Bo Bichette, like we've said on this podcast before, he knows that the 220 clip with the 280 on base and the WRC plus of 70 isn't going to cut it for his production. A lot of pressure on these guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Bo Bichette. You look at this offseason, they don't really have a lot of help. They bring in Justin Turner, IKF, which worked out pretty well, but not big names off the market. These guys were going to have to carry the Toronto Blue Jays offense for this offense to be effective, and we kind of saw that down the stretch. Obviously, the trade deadline switched some things up. But you look at these guys, again, they're making millions of dollars. So, again, you have a little bit of mental hardships. I think you got to be able to get through that as an MLB baseball player. But for Bo Bichette, like I said, he hasn't really been through the hardships. So that's another reason why I'm really looking forward to see Bo Bichette in 2025. I'm looking forward to a bounce back year. But again, I'm really interested to see what you guys think about this. So leave whatever, if you guys agree, disagree, if you think we're complete idiots. I'd love to see any sort of this argument here, because this is going to be the storyline of the offseason. So we might as well get into the offseason. It's not a lot happening in front of our faces with the Toronto Blue Jays, as we saw in Monday's game against the New York Mets. But Braden, I'll throw it over to you just to kind of finalize up the Bo Bichette stuff, and then I'll head into the game and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I guess to sort of put a bow, pun intended. Great. Yeah, you like that one? Perfect.
Put a Bo Bichette on it.
Yeah, put a Bo Bichette on it. Anyway, no, I think all we can do, and I'm going to say this right now, after hearing this, I think the time off that Bo Bichette got, I think this is the perfect way to come out of it leading into 2025. I think this is the perfect thing to say. I don't know. I might be on the hype train of the huge Bo Bichette bounce back year. I don't know. It's written in the cards, I think, here. So, or in the stars, or whatever it's called. I feel like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys right now.
It's like a little storybook ending, a fairy tale ending to our 2024 Toronto Blue Jays forgotten season that we'll never want to talk about ever again for the rest of our lives. And we'll just look forward to 2025 and just the year that didn't happen. That's what 2024 is going to be. But saying that, our life flashed before our eyes on Monday. Obviously, we're going to have to get into that. And again, the defensive woes kind of getting at the Toronto Blue Jays, costing them some runs and costing them some big plays in the game. So we have a bunch of stuff that we still want to get into, but we do have to take a short break before that. So we'll get into a ton more Blue Jays stuff and content coming up.
Today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by Game Time. As you guys know, Game Time is one of my favorite apps. It's the best place to get your tickets. They just have so many great deals. And talk about deals, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And when I'm telling you that this is one of the best features, because I hate scrolling, I can't stand trying to pick seat by seat, which one's cheaper. I just like to know, give me the best deal out there. Let me see like 3 options so I know what I'm after. Game Time Picks allows you to do that. Game Time also has their great seat views. I always talk about this, where the view from the seat, it's probably one of the best features on any app. Take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So, Carter, here we are. I think you summed it up perfectly in there in that last segment, talking about our life flashing before our eyes. We just talked about how great of a duo Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are. Well, Vlad goes down with a little bit of an injury, and I think my heart skipped a couple beats because I could not handle Vlad missing the rest of the season. That would make the Toronto Blue Jays an even more boring team to watch. They have been better as of late, but still a team without Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not a team that I want to watch. In saying that, Carter, I don't know. How do you feel about this? Again, from everything that we've seen, I'll let you get into it, but it's not a crazy injury. Like maybe it'll be a game or two, Carter. I don't think it's going to be anything too terrible, but for a split second there, my heart skipped a beat a little bit.
Yeah, some are saying that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has to take the bullet for Bo Bichette for him to come back for the rest of the season. I guess the Toronto Blue Jays, they don't want to see too much or 2 superstars too early. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of time in the future with them. So they're just delaying our satisfaction a little bit with this Vladimir Guerrero Jr. injury. But no, realistically, a foul ball off his foot, definitely scary to see him hobbling off and going into the tunnel as well. But it looks like everything came back negative. I saw tweets from Hazel May, Keaton Matheson, everyone saying that there's no structural damage, nothing crazy. Anything major has been avoided. So again, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and you are a million games out of the playoffs. Let this guy rest for 2 weeks. I don't care how long it takes. I don't want this guy to go out there, get injured, and then not have a regular offseason. You see how that can impact some people. With the back half of the season that Vladdy's had, even just you look at all his complete numbers from 2024. You can look at that over the full season. It's been unbelievable. It's been almost as good as the 2021 season. You're not getting as many home runs, but you can argue some of the other stats, the hard hit rate, the WRC plus, stuff like that. A lot of these numbers are very close to being on par with 2021. So it does suck to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get injured in any capacity, but we can definitely thank our lucky stars that this was nothing serious. No broken bones, nothing like that. If he has to miss a couple games, it's going to be tough to watch Toronto Blue Jays baseball because he is like one of the only things that does make this team fun to watch. But in the grand scheme of things, I think we're going to have to be okay with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. missing 5 games so we can play almost a full 162 in 2025.
Yeah, Carter, and this sort of got me thinking of, with talking about injuries and knock on wood, we never, I got the desk here knocking on the wood, but, if something like this were to happen and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. goes out for the rest of the season and has to, struggle through the offseason a little bit, how much does that scare you for 2025?
Oh, 2025 is almost over. You can almost say that. If Vladdy's out for 2025, you can pretty much say season's over. I think it's almost the same thing if you would look at a team like the Boston Red Sox. A similar build. Again, our pitching's better, but you have a guy in Rafael Devers there. Again, you got Jarren Duran, but if Devers goes down, their season's over. It's a very similar explanation. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is obviously the most integral piece to this Toronto Blue Jays team. You look at the offense, you look at how substantial that this missing piece would be in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You get an offense that's been top 5, top 10 after the All-Star break. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. not being in that offense probably makes this league average, maybe below league average. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a necessity if you want this Toronto Blue Jays team to even have a chance to be competitive, I would say. Maybe you see this team make the playoffs without Vladdy, but they're not doing any sort of damage in the postseason. They haven't even proven that they can do postseason damage with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So all of my hopes and dreams, I think, would actually be crushed if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would ever miss any time that is extensive, anytime that's more than like a 10-day IL stint. Again, we're at this point in the season. If he missed the rest of the season, would suck. But again, from what we're seeing, I think we're overreacting slightly here. It looks it's a foul ball off the leg. Happened a couple times in this game, which sucks. But again, it's just one of those things, day-to-day thing. Let Vladdy rest, maybe have some fun in the dugout because he's done more than enough for me this season. Definitely not on him at all.
Yeah, no, and sort of the point of this was just like, what if? Because that's sort of what I immediately go to. I'm like, oh no, here we go again, right? Injuries and everything can riddle a baseball team going through the offseason and into the following year. So it does work. This is
what happens with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If knock on wood, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets injured, he gets a ball in the knuckle, he breaks his knuckle. I send him my hand. That's what happens.
Yeah,
I put my body on the line and I step up when we need them to, and I send them my hand. Maybe we make a little deal on this podcast. I get like the right side, you get the left side. I don't know. Maybe we'll put our heads together and figure out put our best skill sets together. If anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays is going to need any body parts for the next season,
or they could do what we thought they were going to do in May when we were going out to Toronto. They just call up the reinforcements. Me and you hop on the plane and we play as one player.
That is true. We could also do that. Imagine we could throw on like the stilts, maybe get those jackets on. I'll just bend over. I'll throw you in front of the plate, and then that's our hit by pitch on base machines. You'll have to see it. We'll definitely be the most committed there. Probably the least skillful, but we'll definitely have our hearts and bodies on the line. But yeah, I don't. That's not something I even want to get into the realm of saying. We've already had so much hardship and things like that over this season. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets injured, knocking on wood again. The last time I'm to talk about this. Long term, it's hell. It'd be hell month, hell year, hell everything for the Toronto Blue Jays in that sense. Who hits 3? Who hits 3? Are you confident about anyone hitting 3?
Not really. I mean, it'd be Horwitz probably, but I mean, there you go. I'm not too thrilled with that either, even though good on Horwitz for the season he's having.
And then some are saying Bo's coming back for Botember. So I mean, you would have the replacement for then. You get the 2 weeks of Botember. So that would be cool. But yeah, let's have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Let's have everyone on the Toronto Blue Jays, Jordan Romano, anyone that has struggled with a little bit of injuries. Obviously, Vladdy hasn't had injuries, but knock on wood again. Let's just have everyone come back healthy and productive in 2025. So there's a couple of things I do want to get into, obviously the game and stuff like that. You want to do that this segment or next segment? I have a quick stat I want to get into quick though.
Yeah, let's get into the stat, but then I think I'll save the game for the third because there's a couple things we need to talk about for sure.
Okay, perfect. So I got one thing. Well, I got 2 actually. Shout out to Ernie Clement. 4 hits in the Toronto Blue Jays game. He had 2 of them coming in the 7th inning. Didn't even play the whole game. And the other one is about Leo Jimenez, just a random stat I saw from Keegan Matheson, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Leo Jimenez has played 50 MLB games. He's been hit by 12 pitches. You go over a 162 game span. This is like 35 hit by pitches in a year for a guy like Leo Jimenez. It's reminding me of the Danny Jansen treatment that he was getting here, getting hit by a pitch left, right, and center. For a guy that's very young, it's again, thank God this guy, a lot of injury talk all of a sudden this episode, but thank God he hasn't been injured because he's been hit by literally every single ball that's come by him. If again, you look at the hit by pitches, this guy has 12 and 50 games. You're probably looking at 40 hit by pitches in a year. If you translate that to home runs, talking about 40 home runs in a year, I'm taking that. So these are some video game numbers out here by Leo Jimenez.
Yeah, it's me pitching on MLB 24 when I have zero control and just plunking guys left.
This is Barron's baseball where we threw Wubba on the mound and he is just
wow.
we're down to the bench and it's just like, please don't put me in. Like it's the seventh person that's been injured and no, he has to practice. Let's figure it out. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a ricochet there. But that's the Leo Jimenez treatment, unfortunately, in the MLB over his 50 game career. Yeah, we got a game to go over. That's another just defensive dismantling. That's it's tough to talk about, but that's pretty much what we're on to do with the Toronto Blue Jays. Talk about a lot of things that make us sad about life and about baseball. But I do have something more positive to get into. Obviously, we appreciate you guys making us your first listen. Second listen would be on Locked On MLB with our friend Sully. Obviously, we went on his podcast runs, Locked On Athletics as well. Congrats to that guy for just putting in the work. Obviously, quite the show over there with the athletics baseball team. So just if you have the opportunity, very insightful guy, head over there. We got some Toronto Blue Jays baseball to go over, a couple more stats, a couple more loose ends that we're going to tie up. Just a quick little break, and we're coming back to you with more Toronto Blue Jays content after this.
Today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard us talk a ton about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Trust me and Carter have been on the football grind. I think the amount of bets that I've put down on FanDuel as well has just been out of this world. I've now lost 3 in a row. So if I ever give you betting advice, tell me to stop, please. But make sure you guys go and check out their same-game parlays as well on FanDuel. They're amazing, and I should just stick with those. And I probably would have won today. Actually, I know 2 bets that if I would have put down, I would have won on Monday Night Football. But make sure you guys go check out FanDuel. Make sure you take advantage of the YouTube TV. It is an awesome way to watch football.
And speaking of bets in football, credit to me. Got to do it to you, unfortunately. We talked about a little bit of fantasy football on these last couple episodes. Carter First continues to just take advantage of Braden in fantasy and improve to 3-0 between, I guess not in MLB. You did have me in MLB, but that's a fake league because not everyone was playing in that league. I only count records that everyone's attended in. So I've beaten Braden, I think, once now in NFL fantasy, twice in NHL. We'll see. We'll see if I can continue the dominance that's been occurring. But again, it's only week 1. I am in 4 fantasy leagues. I only beat Braden. So I don't know if that's more of a shot at me or Braden, but that's where we're at. But I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that.
Yeah. You're just going to breeze over that, just the shots. No, it was, you know what? I was so confident too. And then their team, Cooper Kupp put the dagger in me. So it's where we're at. I did win in my other league. Quick update on the fantasy baseball league that I'm in as well, in the finals. And it's an absolute grudge match. The projections are like 292 to 293. I am down like 3 points right now. We got a lot of room to come back. Shout out Tristan Baranowski. He's in the finals against me. Totally forgot about the league, to be honest with you. And then I checked and I was in the semifinals. So I've been keeping a little bit more up to date with it. But we'll see what happens. A lot to get into on today's game, Carter. I don't know, my man. Where do you want to start? Because there's a lot to go over here.
I'm going to start with the Toronto Blue Jays offensive outbursts, I guess. That's where we'll lead this off. I think Vladdy draws a walk. Spencer Horwitz he's been raking, like especially off right-handed pitching. He's hitting 300 an OPS. I think it's about 950. I had in my notes, but I pulled up something else here. But Spencer Horwitz raking against right-handed pitching. Keep this guy in your lineup against right-handers. But Spencer Horwitz hits a double down the line again in the first inning. And then after that, you literally get nothing from the Toronto Blue Jays offense. To be exact, you had Tyler McGill on the mound. You had that Spencer Horwitz double. After that, 16 straight batters were retired for the Toronto Blue Jays. So literally 0 offense there. But shout out to Spencer Horwitz, obviously, for being an absolute dog. You'll love to see that. 920 is the OPS, by the way, for the right-handed pitching. So that's all I really got for the start of the game. Ryan Burr looked good. 2 innings pitched, no earned runs. You'll have to see that. Maybe a guy that can find some low leverage spots next season. Again, those are the more so what I'm looking at. I'm not, again, you lose 3-2. That sucks, obviously. But Ryan Burr's a guy that we might need to rely on in some spots next season. Ryan Yarborough, again, not as much of a need. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. Wouldn't hate it, but it's these little performances. It's the Will Wagners of the world. It's the Alejandro Kirks of the world. It's the guys that are going to just try to come together and be able to just do their part for the Toronto Blue Jays next season. So if we can see that early on or I guess late on in 2024, going in it early on for 2025, that's definitely something I'm going to get excited about. But we kind of talked about the game off counter a little bit. There's really only one thing that we wanted to get into. And again, it's the defense, and it's in the 8th inning. I'm going to throw it over to you to kind of just take the spotlight here.
Okay. Brian Serven, I've never had an issue with him. All right, I'm going there. I'm not talking about the Ernie Clement throwaway. Again, the odd time Ernie Clement's defense has been very solid all year. I mean, besides like the little bit at the start when he was sort of getting his footing, but he's been good. I'm not really talking about that. It's behind the dish stuff here with Brian Serven because we didn't know what was going to happen after the Danny Jansen trade. We knew it was going to be Brian Serven, but how it would play out, we weren't really sure. And this was a bad game. I mean, the first sort of wild pitch was a tougher one. I sort of give him the break. The second one, I swear to God, hits him in the chest. And somehow this ball gets, like, I have no idea how this was missed. I was a little bit blown away. It was terrible. And that's how the game's decided. Like, I don't know. That can't happen. And I know Alejandro Kirk's not catching. So there you go. Stuff happens. You come in halfway through the game. All right, whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're a major league catcher or backup catcher still. Figure it out. Like that chest hits you that ball hits you in the chest. I don't know. It's just shocking. It was shocking to watch.
Yeah, the only thing that I could possibly think of for that second one, again, we'll just sweep over the first one. Again, not a great pitch. It's a curveball in the dirt. I'd like to see a little bit more effort to try to get more out to the right. Kind of just threw the glove up there. But anyway, we'll give him a break on that one. The only thing I could think of on that second wild pitch, I guess you can call it. I wouldn't like pass balls, but it should be. But it's just a pitch in miscommunication. Maybe he was looking for another off-speed pitch, got a fastball. Again, it's almost in the strike zone. Like it wasn't a strike, but it wasn't that far off. It wasn't a bad pitch whatsoever, and just misses it. So again, it's a tough spot, especially when you're coming off in the Atlanta Braves game where you kind of just threw the game as well because of defensive outbursts. And like I'm not going to be too hard on Brian Serven here, but Brian Serven was not being brought into this game to hit a bomb. He got brought in to pinch run for Alejandro Kirk because Alejandro Kirk just is not the greatest base runner. I'll leave it at that. And he's there to just provide good defense. Alejandro Kirk is a good defensive catcher, but Brian Serven is there to play defense and just be the backup catcher. You're not expecting this insurmountable amount of offense where he's going to hit 400 and have 1,000 OPS. You want him to catch the ball behind the plate. Doesn't end up doing that, and the Toronto Blue Jays lose. Just no momentum, obviously, going into the 9th inning here, unfortunately. Again, I'm more mad about this if these games have more meaning, but back-to-back, it's tough to swallow.
Yeah, dude. That's the problem, I think, because we just did the episode. That the defense hasn't looked great recently, and now you get another game right after that one, and it sort of just puts the dagger in a little bit further. So at the end of the day, again, it is what it is. Brian Serven is there to serve a purpose. I would think that maybe that's a piece in the offseason that you look at. Maybe try to bring in a little bit of a better backup catcher, somebody that can hit a little bit of DH for you, maybe. I don't know. But that would be my thinking anyway. Somebody that's a little bit cheaper. I don't know what the options are, but that would be something I would look at as well. We'll get so much more into that sort of as this season goes on, Carter. I guess, I don't know, dude. Like, you got anything else, really? Like, this sort of game was a little bit of a nothing burger for me.
Not too much from the pitching. The only other thing is just about the Brian Serven stuff. I just wanted to look over his stats, stuff like that. For a guy that has a WRC plus of 44 this season, that's what I was looking for. You're probably looking for a little bit more of a guy that could hit behind the plate. Again, Brian Serven's maybe a guy that you start in AAA. He's not going to have a huge role on this team and not a guy you're going to want to be relying on for your offense. If he does come up, there's in the event of some injuries, I'm not going to bat an eye. But not a guy that I would necessarily be comfortable with going in as your second catcher. But with the Toronto Blue Jays, if I would had to put the catcher rankings as a need for them, like I don't know if that's even in the top 3. So there's a lot of other things the Toronto Blue Jays need to address this offseason. Obviously starting with the bullpen, but we'll get way more into that as we go through the season. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything like in my notes and stuff like that. But just a tough loss to the Mets. You'll play 2 teams that are fighting for their NL wildcard titles, and we're not allowing any team to just gain or lose ground. I guess they'll continue to win against the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll probably still 1 against the Mets, drop 2 in the series. Would not be surprised. But at least if you're a Mets fan, you're a Braves fan, you have something to get excited about down the stretch. But like I said in the last episode, the Mets weren't looking too good last year. Hopefully the Blue Jays can have a turnaround sort of similar to that. I'd be more comfortable with maybe battling for the division. But again, we'll look into 2025. Maybe we'll start with the playoff win before I get too crazy with these division talks.
Yeah, my man. You know what? Sort of a crazy start to the week here for us. We thought we sort of came in thinking, there's not a whole lot to talk about. And then we get huge Bo Bichette news. It's, you know what? It makes it fun. That's why doing this podcast is so much fun, because you sort of think we go into episodes and we think, man, I don't know, like there's not time to talk about. And, the day before we're saying that, and then all of a sudden something crazy breaks or what. It's just nuts. Baseball is just nuts. And that's why I love it. As always, we want to thank you guys a ton for making us your first listen. Make sure you guys go check out Locked On MLB. That's with host Paul Sullivan. Sully, our guy, runs a great show, keeps you up to date on all the big storylines going on in the MLB. So you can go check him out as well. If you like it, stick around. He makes a really fun show. We've been on there a couple times, and it was a blast. So go check that out as well. Always thanks for watching the video, subscribing, whatever. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. It really does help us out a ton more than you guys even know. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're sticking around this far, you might as well, because what else are you watching, I guess. And Carter, my man, good start to the week. Long week to go. A lot of baseball, a lot of football. I'm gonna regroup my guys and try to get them ready to go for week 2.
Oh yeah, we'll be on the Bo Bichette bus, that's for sure. Obviously, be watching Vladdy's injury with some binoculars, and then I'll be scouring the waiver wire in fantasy to make some upgrades for my team going into week 2 here. But just one of the best times of the year for sports. So get all your sports in while you can, because baseball is going to be over for Toronto Blue Jays fans quicker than you know it. Obviously, we're under 3 weeks now, so it's been flying by. Thank you guys for watching. And then we'll talk to you guys tomorrow after some probably more shocking Toronto Blue Jays news will come out, which is weird for how much news has been coming out this late in the season.